Hey guys, I'm back after a couple week absence, and I apologize for that. Ran into some things. I got an explanation. The short week with Miami, I usually record and upload these videos, usually on Thursdays, this week being an exception. So I didn't have time to do that, so I apologize for that. The following week, Buffalo area was labeled with a snowstorm, and I was stranded, not even at my house for a couple of days, so I didn't have time to do that as well, because even when I got home, I was busy moving snow and what have you. And then this past week was Thanksgiving, and I didn't really run into time. Like I said, I usually do it on Thursday. Thursday was Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Anyway, I digress. This past week, the Bills beat the Browns by a score of 26-10. They threw themselves right back in the playoff hunt after 2 weeks ago. We thought it was over after they lost to the Dolphins. And now they're 7-5. They're tied with 5 other teams for the final wild card spot, and it's going to be chaos over the next month. Will the Bills be a part of that? That remains to be seen. Do the Bills have the toughest schedule? Probably. I haven't seen a statistic on that, but given the fact that they face 3 teams that are currently 9-3, I'm going to guess they have the toughest schedule. That might be offset by the fact that they play the Raiders, who are 1-11. But that said, who are the best 3 teams in the league? Any order. We don't have to order them. But I'm going to guess that you would probably say New England, Denver, Green Bay. Those are probably the best 3 teams in the league. Not by record. Who do you think the best 3 teams in the league are? I'm guessing you would probably say those 3 teams. Or at least if you had to say a top 4 or 5, you would include those 3 teams. And the Bills get all 3 of them over the final month of the season. So that's going to make things very difficult for them. I've seen through the ESPN playoff machine, the Bills have a 14% chance of making the playoffs. I think that has mostly to do with the fact that their schedule is so difficult, rather than, it's obviously, made worse by the fact that they don't have a whole lot of tiebreakers. But the fact that their schedule is so tough is going to make it that much more difficult for them to qualify for the playoffs. It doesn't change anything. It remains the same, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you just go out there and win against a couple playoff caliber teams and show that you belong in the playoffs. They beat the Browns, who were 7-4. But the Browns, were they frauds? I kind of think so. They lost to Jacksonville. And they had been playing better as of late under Hoyer, but they got Josh Gordon back. Everyone thought they'd be better. They're 1-1 with Josh Gordon now, but Hoyer has just got, tunnel vision for Josh Gordon now. And he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in 2 games, and he gets replaced by Johnny Manziel. Anyway, this video is supposed to be about the Bills. So I don't want to go off on the Browns too much because the Bills just beat the Browns, and to me, right now, that puts the Browns in the rear view, even though their record is tied. It was a great performance once again by the defense, and they carried the team to win because, let's face it, that first half was just absolutely abysmal. 3-0 at halftime. I'm thinking, are we heading for another 6-3 game? The offense was pretty terrible. The defense kept them in the game. Yeah, they held the Browns to 74 rushing yards on the day. 18 of those came on the final play. They held Josh Gordon in check. Like I said, he had 7 catches for 75 yards. They forced Mike Pettin to go to Manziel after Hoyer's second interception. Great performances from a number of guys, including Cersei, who had both interceptions. Nigel Bradham, I thought, was fantastic. Jerry Hughes scoring the touchdown, getting held, forcing a fumble, recovering the fumble, returning it for a touchdown, all in the same play. The whole defensive line was fantastic, keeping the Browns' running game in check. not putting a ton of pressure on Hoyer, but enough pressure on Hoyer to force some bad throws, because he started 7 of 8 for like 79 yards, and then completely tapered off from that point forward. The Bills, as a team, shut Dante Whitner up, so that's a good thing, because we didn't want to hear anything about that loser anymore. But they were still outgained in total yards, 315 to 287. They did win the turnover battle 3-2. Should have been 4-2. Horrible call on that Manziel fumble. He's not throwing that ball. There's no tuck rule anymore. How is that not a fumble? Nickel Roby got robbed of a touchdown is all I'm saying. And the Bills got robbed of another defensive touchdown and more points. That's all I'm saying. Again, the offense was ineffective. They rushed for 106 yards. Only had 181 passing yards. 2 interceptions. They were 2 of 15 on third downs. 1 of 5 in the red zone. Kicked 4 field goals again. They had another field goal blocked at the end of the half. Orton, 17 of 31. Made a couple nice throws, I suppose, but overall not that impressive. Only sacked 1 time, which was nice. They got an unexpected performance from Marquise Gray. 2 catches for 71 yards. That was encouraging, I suppose. Do I think he's the tight end of the future? No, slow down. He got his number called twice. He showed up big time in both spots. Good for him. I mean, they completely fooled the Browns on the second one with the play action. All in all, that was the best play call. One of the best play calls of the day to me was that, because I have sort of defended the play calling this year, and yesterday I thought it was terrible. Just the shotgun runs, shotgun on the goal line. And I know, granted, I know that you're ineffective at sometimes, but your players have been ineffective, but your play calling is ineffective as well. It's just so predictable. If I can tell what you're doing standing in the stands, do you think the Browns, who have prepared for you all week, can tell what you're doing and watch your film? I'm sure that they know, or at least have a pretty good idea. And that's probably why that play to Gray for 41 yards in the second half worked so well, because they thought they knew it was coming. So, that's the best play call of the day to me, like I said. But look at your rest of your weapons. Watkins, ineffective. Joe Hayden all over him. Chandler, ineffective. Hogan, ineffective. He scored a touchdown, but only had 2 catches for 8 yards. Who are your best players? Fred Jackson, no surprise there, and Robert Woods, who has sort of been an unsung hero. They're your grinders. They're getting it done for you on a weekly basis to me. All you got to do is make sure that they get the ball. Woods coming on a lot lately, but he's making a lot of big plays in big spots. That 4th and 2, making a catch. Would they have got the yardage anyway? Yes, but he makes the catch. With Buster Screen all over him. Robert Woods really stepping it up these past couple weeks, and he's been a good player all season, and I look forward to him staying involved in the offense. Let's keep it that way. But, like I said, the team is being carried by its defense. They're 5th. The defense is 5th overall. They're 5th against the pass. They're 7th against the run. They're 2nd in points allowed. Only Detroit has allowed fewer points. They have the most sacks. They're tied for 4th in interceptions, tied for 6th in fumble recoveries. They have there's a +9 turnover differential. The defense is a championship caliber defense, but honestly, we're about to find out, because they deserve some big games, and they're going to get 3 of them over the next month to show how good that they are, and that starts with Denver this week. Back real quick to the defense, they have beaten teams without elite quarterbacks. They've beaten Chicago. I don't consider Cutler elite. They've beaten Detroit. I don't consider Stafford elite. I think you've seen that this year. Miami, the Jets, the Vikings. And the only 2 elite quarterbacks that they have faced, that being Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady, they've allowed a lot of points to. They kept the Bills in the game against San Diego. I will give them that. They allowed 20 points to San Diego. 22 because there was a safety involved. But 20 points by the defense allowed against San Diego. They kept the Bills in that game. But against New England, they were pretty much dominated, allowed 37 points. So now they go to the 5th best offense in the league with the best quarterback probably of all time ever, which is the same thing as all time. I don't know why I repeated myself, but they're on the road against the best quarterback of all time. This is your spot. You want a big game, you got a big game. The Broncos are 6-0 at home this year. They've only lost 3 home games since Manning's been there in 3 years, and one was in the playoffs. They've only lost 2 regular season home games since Peyton has been there. They're 9-3. They're a great team. Like I said, 5th in total offense, 3rd in total defense. They have Peyton Manning. He's got 3,700 yards. Probably going over, could go over 4,000 in this game. 3,700 yards in 12 games, 36 touchdowns. That's insane. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders both have 80 catches. They both have over 1,100 yards, and they both have over 7 touchdowns through 12 games. That is nuts. But that's because of the quarterback. They have Julius Thomas. Hasn't played the last 2 weeks. Could he be back? My sense is that he's going to be back, which sucks because he's a huge target. You can tell that Peyton Manning misses him. He has 12 touchdowns. There's been this huge emergence of C.J. Anderson, who's averaging 5.5 yards per carry. He ran for 168 yards against the Chiefs, ran for 167 against the Dolphins the past 2 weeks. 380 total yards and 2 touchdowns over the past 2 games. And that's against Miami and Kansas City, who both have top 10 defenses. The Bills have a top 10 defense. What does that say? What does that tell you? The chips are stacked against the Bills, is what I'm trying to get across. This is a very, very tall task, especially considering how ineffective the offense has been lately. Can they keep up with the Broncos? Can the defense sustain pressure on Manning and, force him off a rhythm? Manning's delivery is the fastest in the league, and I don't mean that in terms of his arm moving forward and stuff. I mean snap to throw, fastest in the league. It's under 3 seconds. But that said, when the pressure is, in his face, he just sort of turtles and just falls. Just takes the sack. I thought the Chiefs did an okay job of that last week. He only completed 50% of his passes for 179 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'll sign up for that right now. For him to duplicate those numbers, 17 of 34, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, I'll sign up for that right now. But, C.J. Anderson was very effective, almost ran for as many yards as Peyton Manning threw for. And they were so tough on defense against Alex Smith that they didn't really need the points. They still scored 29. Where do the Bills have an advantage? They have Kyle Orton. Is he bitter over being let go by the Broncos for Tebow? Probably. But can he keep up with Peyton Manning in Peyton Manning's house? Could there be weather advantages? Yeah, if it snows, but it's not supposed to. The weather's calling for 50 degrees and sunny, so that works against the Bills. The Broncos are the third most penalized team in the league. That helps a little bit, I suppose. They're one of only 3 teams with over 100 penalties. So use your defensive line to your advantage. Try to garner some holding calls. Take some deep shots. Just throw deep pass after deep pass because you might get a penalty call. I would be taking deep shots, a lot of deep shots, because you might get penalties. That's just the way I look at it. Because you can get big plays either by your big play receivers and Watkins and Woods catching the ball or hopefully pass interference. Is it going to work all the time? No. But that might be the best way to keep up. It's like I said, I don't think the Bills are really ready for this type of game. I got to make a prediction, and I don't think it's going to be that pretty. I think the Bills are going to lose. Let's see. They got a chance of stopping them from scoring a whole lot, but I think they're still going to lose 34-19. Some field goals or 2-point conversion wackiness in there. 34-19 Broncos. Guys, I want to hear what you thought. Think about the past 3 weeks, about the upcoming 4 weeks, about this game in particular. So get at me on here, on Twitter. My Twitter username is the same as my YouTube username, so you can find me on there. I pretty much only talk about the Bills and a couple other sports, but obviously the Bills take precedent. I'll talk to you, and I hope to hear from you guys. Again, if you came this far in the video, I have to say thank you because you're a true Bills fan. Anyway, guys, enjoy your weekend, and as always, go Bills.